Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next edition of AmiSights. I'm Ami Kistar, your host, along with my co-host, Led Ozer, a.k.a. SBA Queen. Super excited to have Bryan Clayton on, founder and CEO of GreenPal, amongst other interesting business experiences and life experiences. I will say from the start that rarely, and Bryan, please take this as a compliment, do we accept people on the show that I don't know personally. And Bryan's one of them, and we got tons and tons and tons and tons of pitches. And there was something particularly about Bryan's story that really resonated with me, and I thought would be interesting to our users. So, Bryan, congratulate your PR team.
Well, thank you, Ami. I appreciate it. And Lynn, it's good to be with you too. I appreciate you guys having me on your show today.
We're excited. Your story is really interesting. I could see why Ami went for it, because we love entrepreneurs and we love to hear about their journeys, and you have a fascinating.
Well, cool. I started off just very humbly push mowing the neighbor's yard. My dad got tired of watching me play Nintendo all day. He said, "Hey, get off your butt. Get off your butt. The neighbor needs somebody to mow their yard." And he made me go mow the neighbor's grass. And I got very lucky. I never looked back after that. Just kept mowing grass. Yeah. So that's how it started. Was just mowing yards in my neighborhood, and I passed out flyers all over the neighborhood that first summer and got like a dozen customers, and kept mowing grass all through high school, all through college. And then when I graduated college, I had to make a decision: was I going to go get a job with this business degree I had, or maybe I could make a business in the landscaping industry. And so I made a little business plan with what I learned in business school, and ended up growing that little lawn mowing business into a $10 million a year landscaping company with around 150 employees, and then getting it acquired by a national company. And so that was how I got started.
Well, we want a little bit more details about how you expanded to 150 employees. It sounded like when you were in high school, you were doing it yourself, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was very much sun up to sundown, after school, and Saturday and Sunday, after soccer practice, whenever I could get time in, I would go do the service. But the cool thing about the lawn mowing business is that it teaches you 90% of what goes into any small business. So I was having to learn things like customer service and scheduling and bookkeeping and invoicing and taxes and all of these things. I was having to learn on the fly, and so by the time I was in business school, I was kind of like, yeah, I already know a lot of this stuff. I'm running at that time I was running a business with 2 or 3 employees. And so I think a service-based business like a lawn mowing business is a great business to cut your teeth on, because that's what it was for me.
Did you teach yourself bookkeeping and taxes, or did you have an accountant or a bookkeeper to help you?
It was always a routine of doing things wrong and then figuring out you did them wrong and then trying to figure out how to do it right. So this was back in like the mid 90s, and there was the internet, but it wasn't like it is today.
No.
And you couldn't go to YouTube University to learn anything you wanted. So a lot of these things you had to go through trial and error and screw them up. And then you hire somebody to help you, and that would not go well. And then you would just go from like failure to failure. And then you would eventually like land on something that works. And that's how it was for me with pretty much everything. Growing that little landscaping business was just going through the school of hard knocks. And now today, I feel like it's better to start a business than it's ever been, because you can learn all of these things from other people who have done it a lot easier. But yeah, it was very much like just teaching myself how to do it, screwing it up, and then figuring out how to do it right.
What years in your life was it?
That was that was 1995 when I first got started. So I was just a 15-year-old kid. And then by the time I graduated college in 2023, I had 5 employees and I was doing $1 million a year in revenue. And so I graduated college with a well-running small business. And then I was able to scale it after that, and for another 10 years, eventually getting it to 8 figures.
Wow. Where were you located, and were you expanding, just kept going out from the center of where you started? How did you do that?
I was really lucky to be in a city, Nashville, Tennessee, that was growing. That was something that I lucked up on, because I was in a suburb outside of Nashville, but we started in that little town, and then we kept growing to other little towns around Nashville, and eventually all the greater Nashville area. Eventually when the company was sold, we did a 100-mile radius of Nashville and did
Wow.
thousands of locations for commercial properties all over the region. But I kind of had the wind at my back, and because there was new economic activity happening in the region, there was new office complexes, new apartments, new housing developments, and all of these projects needed professional landscaping services. They needed somebody to install the landscaping, they needed somebody to maintain it. And while we didn't get everything that we went after, we were able to get more swings at the plate and develop a sales process around targeting new developments, existing developments. And it was very much doable because of a vibrant local economy. So I think if you're starting out, it can be helpful to do an audit of where you are geographically. And it's like, if the town is not thriving, it might behoove you to move because that can really help you, put the wind at your back.
So Bryan, at what point did you think about selling? How did you go about selling, and why did you sell?
Yeah, it wasn't something that I had planned on doing all along. I really enjoyed running that business. And I think if you're doing entrepreneurship well, you should evolve into a whole new person every year or two, because you're always being confronted with new challenges. You're always having to learn things you never would have learned. You would never pick up a book on leadership. At least I wouldn't. But I had to, because I had to learn how to lead, 20, 30, 50, 100 people. And so I didn't realize at the time, but I was getting like fulfillment from that. It was rewarding to me at a deep level. And I liked that. But that hit a plateau, I guess, at year 13. Wasn't that I had like dominated the market or anything, but I kind of got the business to a point where it was running well, and it could run well without me. And it was no longer challenging me in that way personally. And so at that point I thought, man, I feel very discontent. Maybe I should do the next thing. I don't know what the next thing is, but I need to create space for that. And maybe I should explore an exit for this business, because I had gone to some industry conferences, and there's guys that, owners that get up there and talk about how they got their business acquired. I thought maybe I could do that. And from the moment I had that thought to the moment we got the business sold was about 2 years, because there was a lot of reverse engineering of getting the business ready to sell that had to be done. Ideally, if you ever want to sell your small business, you should be working a proactive, like 5 or even 10-year plan to groom it in such a way where it could be acquired. I did not do that. And so there was all these things that I did wrong in how I was running my business that I had to kind of like fix in the 8th or 9th inning.
Give us an example of what it was that you had to re-engineer.
Yeah. There's all kinds of things, 100 things. It could be bookkeeping, it could be accounting. They want accounting in GAAP, which is like a higher standard. So you have to redo all of that. It could be the org chart in terms of how you, like for us, for example, we did landscaping maintenance, and how we had salespeople, account managers, and crew foremen, and how we scaffolded that out was very much done with how I thought it should be, but larger companies that have thousands of employees didn't really operate that way. So we had to redo a lot of that stuff. We had redundancy in places in administrative parts of the business that weren't necessary, that we had to prune out. Like, those were very like tactical things. But one big one that I didn't anticipate was, when you run a lifestyle business, you kind of run it from the heart. It's your baby. You take pride in it. It is very much who you are. Your heart and soul. You've been pouring your heart and soul into it for a decade.
Yeah.
And so the way you make decisions comes from the heart. You might give an employee an interest-free loan to put a down payment on a house. You might paint the fence in the shop every year just because you think it should look nice. Maybe you buy everybody new employees, new uniforms every year. You may not have to do that, but you do it because it's a good thing to do. It boosts morale. And hey, maybe you buy them the Carhartt ones. Maybe you buy them the really nice ones. Maybe you throw a big Christmas party every year because it would be fun for you as the founder and your team. That's your family. These are all decisions you make as a small business owner who has like passion for the business. But when you want to sell your business, you need to run it from the cold spreadsheet. You got to run it from the spreadsheet that almost has no emotions, and almost isn't even there in the business. It's almost like looking at it as a stock that you own. Mm-hmm. When it comes time to sell, let's say every one of those examples I just gave was something that I did. Let's quantify all of those. I don't know, $100,000 a year. Okay, well now you times that by 7. That's a $700,000 difference in terms of your sale, because they're going to give you a multiple on your EBITDA in terms, when it's all said and done, how much profit the business is delivering. And you really need to think through every single expense, put it under scrutiny, and run it from the spreadsheet. And if you're not willing to do that, then do not pursue selling the business, because you may not even have a business that's sellable if you don't run it in that way.
Interesting.
Who did you sell it to, Bryan?
So there was about 10 companies that were interested in it. So everybody from private equity, which was big back then, but it's really big now, wants to roll these types of service-based businesses up. And then you wouldn't think that there's national landscaping companies, but there's like 5 really big ones that are publicly traded. All of them were interested. And then there was one kind of in the middle company out of Texas that ended up buying us, that operated a little bit like private equity, but also at national level. They owned 30 different landscaping companies all over the country, and they liked to keep the local brand in place when they acquired a company. So that's why we went with them. I wanted the brand to persist on, and it was a good fit.
And to keep your employees, I would assume.
That was very important to me.
Yeah.
It was because I had very low turnover. And so I had people that were working for the company for 10 and 12 and 13 years that were like friends of mine, that were family to me. And when I sold the business, it was very much like a personal identity crisis that I went through that I wasn't anticipating. It's like, okay, now who am I? I am no longer the leader of this thing. I no longer matter in that way. It doesn't really matter if I get out of bed early in the morning anymore. And so that was a weird thing I had to go through, which was really kind of the inspiration for why I started my second company, GreenPal. Was like, I needed another project. I needed another mission. I needed another reason to stay sharp. And that's why I started the second business.
And when you sold it, did you stay on at all, or were you out the door the day you sold?
They wanted me for a year, which I wasn't jazzed about, but I was willing to do whatever it took to make it successful for everybody. And it turned out after 3 months, they asked me to leave.
Yeah. So you get out. How long did it take you to realize you were bored and you needed to do something else?
Yeah, that's a really good question. My plan when I sold the business, because when I sold it, I wasn't like super wealthy, but I had enough where I could live comfortably and kind of do what I wanted to do. It was a nice place to be. I didn't have to worry about making ends meet anymore. And so my idea was, I really wanted to do like investing and be in the middle of like little small business deals and still like do like coaching. And I read a book by Robert Kiyosaki called The Cash Flow Quadrant. And in that book, he talks about this mysterious individual called the capitalist. And that's what the capitalist is this person that just is in the middle of these business deals and is like bending the world to their way in terms of moving capital around. And I thought that looked cool. I thought that would be fun. I should do that. And I spent about 6 months doing that, and it was very unfulfilling. There was no reason nobody really cared if I got out of bed early. Nobody really cared if I was improving. And what I was doing did not really matter all that much. And so I had to kind of really take a self-assessment and realize that, okay, I'm wired to want to be in the game. I need to start another business, but what business should I start? And so I didn't really want to start another contracting business because that was really hard. It was like hair on fire every day. It was organized chaos every day. And so I thought, well, maybe I could start a tech company. Maybe I could build an app. Maybe I could, like in the movie The Social Network, Mark Zuckerberg and his roommate build Facebook in like 15 minutes. That looked really fun and easy. Maybe I could do that. So I was very much seduced by the idea of like being a tech founder. And I did have the idea that an app should exist for lawn mowing services, much like Uber. I knew somebody was going to build that. And I thought, okay, why can't that be me? And so I told a friend about it. He said, I'll start the company with you. We started the company together and called it GreenPal. And the idea was you should be able to push a button. Someone shows up and mow your yard for you. And that was the idea then. And now a decade later, we are still building that. We started off with 5 people using it. Now 300,000 people use it all over the country.
Right.
You push a button, somebody comes and mows your yard for you.
Wow.
What's the most rewarding part of building this business?
So that's a really good question, because that was important to me. Well, I wanted to be a part of something that, like, what I did and what I was working on mattered. And that's important to me for myself and my team. What we do matters. And we offer a nice convenience to homeowners or consumers. You push a button and someone comes and takes care of this chore for you. And yeah, sure, there's some stories where somebody was facing a fine from the city, or a single mother that couldn't get anybody to come take care of this thing for them. And we bailed them out. Like, that's fun. But really, like, why we do what we do is your small, hardworking, small business owner that maybe they just got laid off or just got out of the military and they don't they want to start a business. They don't even know what to do. They want to start a landscaping company, but they don't even know the first thing about marketing or back office or operations or any of these things. That's where GreenPal comes in. It is a business in a box for them. They plug in and everything is handled for them. All they have to do is just show up and mow their customers' properties when they're supposed to, upload a photo, then they get paid really quickly. And it kind of abstracts away a lot of the BS that goes into running a lawn care business, makes it really easy for them. And so that's why we do what we do. And there we have like hundreds of stories where people are like, because of GreenPal, I was able to pay off student loan debt or put a down payment on a house or this is a big one, buy a riding lawnmower. You wouldn't think that's a big deal, but like a riding lawnmower is like 15 grand, a good commercial one.
Right.
And when you're first getting started, you're pushing, then maybe you're walking, and like life sucks. It's so hard. But when you get that Cadillac, like what they call a ZTR, and it's about 15 grand, your life gets better. Like you make more money with less physical strain. And GreenPal's a part of that. Like GreenPal helped them get there. And so that's fun. So that's really why we do what we do. And that's why we believe what we are building matters.
Have any of the GreenPal business people scaled their own business? Have any of them gotten large enough?
So the sweet spot is your solo operators that want to do 100 properties a week, and that's what one person can do comfortably and make 6 figures a year take home doing it. That's the sweet spot. There's about 30,000 contractors that use the platform, and that's about 70% of them. But there are some enterprising operators that use the platform that are doing over $1 million a year in sales on it. And so they use it as kind of a way to run a segment of their business. They might have 2 or 3 crews that all they do is GreenPal connected properties. And because for them, what it does is it enables them to package up hundreds of properties that maybe just want a simple mowing every 2 weeks and make it profitable, because normally those types of stops aren't profitable to your bigger companies. And so that's why it's a good fit for them.
Do any of these people then do snow removal? I didn't think you did that in Nashville. You probably don't get much snow, but
these are all over the country, Lynn.
they do get snow.
These people are all over the country.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I mean. So do any of them do snow removal in the winter? Is that part of it? Usually landscapers, that's what they do in the winter when they're not.
That's right. Yeah. So we the bread and butter, the primary use case is your weekly or every 2 week lawn mowing. And then we use that as kind of like the on-ramp for everything else you're going to need. So you can then order shrub pruning, mulch, seeding, gutter cleaning, and snow removal services if you're in the northern states. Okay. We built snow removal about 4 years ago, and I thought it was going to be an easy like add-on. It's a whole nother business. We had to like basically rebuild the whole thing all over again, tailored for snow, and have it runs in parallel with GreenPal and make it work smoothly in conjunction with GreenPal. It was a lot more than I ever thought it would be, but now, yeah, it's the nation's largest network of snow removal services too. So you can order a snow removal service the same way you would order on DoorDash or Instacart or Uber.
Interesting.
Bryan, do you offer your members any other services to help them with their businesses, or is it pretty focused on?
We like to think of ourselves as a business in a box, but also a coach. And so what I mean by that is nobody teaches any of us how to run a small business. And so we don't know what it means to be proactive in terms of like our communication. We don't know, we're really not taught the art of the follow-up. Like nobody ever teaches us that. Nobody ever teaches us like how to handle a customer dispute. You just kind of do it wrong a bunch, and then like eventually maybe you might figure out how to handle that. So we try to coach operators through these sorts of things. Like, okay, you've got, in terms of like a marketing automation aspect of this, is like you've got 10 customers that have gone cold on you. They don't have any services booked with you, and you're missing out on this much revenue. Reach out to them and see if they want services. And so it's kind of like an accountability layer. And so we like to think about, if they are making more money, the platform is making more money. And so we're very much aligned with them. And then beyond that, we try to offer them other services they might need. So like with our financial partner, Stripe, things like business financing, we have a thing called the GreenPal Partners Program, which is like it's got about 300 vendors that they need and discounts that they can offer them. So like insurance, supplies, accounting services, things like that. Any type of service you might need as a small business owner, we try to like modulate that into the platform and then get them a discount. So we really try to get in business with them and make their lives easier and help them make more money.
It's very interesting.
And how's that part of it going? Do you think it's successful?
For us, the partners program is not one that we can close the loop on and say, hey, we put X number of hours behind it last year and X number of investment behind it. We got this back out. There's a lot of things you do in business that are kind of like dieting. It's like you just do them because you know you need to and you hope it helps, but it's like you can never quantify it. And that's one for us. PR is very much that way too. It's like you reach out to journalists and you get coverage or you do earned media, but you can never really close the loop on it. It's just, it's something you should be doing and it's a deposit you're making into the brand. That's how we look at our partners program. Eventually, maybe one day if we hit like super scale with it, we can monetize it better and charge for placement from vendors, to get in front of these operators. There's probably an opportunity there. But as of right now, it's more of like a gesture of goodwill that we do for the people that use our platform.
Has anyone in your platform tried to sell their business?
Every now and then. So when you're at a level of like $1 million or less in the landscaping business, odds are you don't have a business to sell. You're really kind of self-employed at that point. Somebody might, what they call buy your route, which means like, okay, you've got 100 customers, here's the contacts, and you could buy that, but we're not talking about a lot of money.
Nice.
But in terms of like an exit based on valuation of a multiple on EBITDA, that rarely happens in the lawn care business beyond like at a scale below, I'd say $1 million, even $2 million.
Is more of the business, they have commercial clients or it's more residential?
GreenPal is built for the residential use case. You wouldn't think that the commercial use case is much different, but really it's a whole different business. There's very little in common between the two other than mowing grass. So if you need a basic lawn mowing service to come take care of your grass cutting for you like every 2 weeks, it's actually a pain in the butt to get that done. You have to call and leave a bunch of voicemails, and then you might hire somebody, and then how do you even know they're any good? And then a lot of times they don't even show up. They flake on you. And then you don't really know if they're going to come back. They might mow you one time, and then they just like, the case of the disappearing lawn guy is a weird phenomenon. And so that's where GreenPal comes in, is help solve that problem. It's like, okay, this should be a lot easier than it is. Okay, let me just push a button and I know what's going to happen. That's what GreenPal does.
What are your biggest challenges today?
The biggest challenges today are ones that I never thought would be. It is the case of the disappearing lawn guy. Like when I was running a contracting business, I wanted all the revenue I could get my hands on. I wanted every customer I could get. I was all over everything all the time. And that was just the ethos with which I ran that business. But as it turns out, most small business owners don't run their business that way. And so a lot of times small business owners, particularly, like really small proprietors, look at their business like they do a job where they will say, okay, I just don't feel like working today. I've got 12 stops. I'm just not going to do them. And it's like, and it's like, what are you talking about? You're going to make $850 if you do all 12 of those, but the level of apathy from service providers is one that I had never really known until I started this business. So it's our platform's job to hold human beings accountable to show up on time and do what it is they're supposed to be doing for who they're supposed to be doing it for. And like with a carrot and stick mentality almost, like, if you do these things, you'll be rewarded. If you don't, you'll be demoted out of the platform. And that's a challenge we started off with, and that's still a challenge to this day. It's the human psychology around showing up and mowing a yard on Thursday afternoon when you're supposed to be there. It's a challenge, and we're always making it better and better.
That's great.
Business, do you prefer your old one or this one?
Definitely this one, but I'll tell you why. So for one, with technology, you can touch a lot more lives. You can have more impact. And so I probably had 20,000 customers in my last business. Now we have 300,000. So right there, it's like what you're doing matters more. That's fun. Another thing that's fun is that every single problem you deal with, there is a systems solution. So let's say you're running a restaurant and you're running that restaurant. A lot of what you do every single day is the same BS every single day over and over again. cook didn't show up, the waiter's apron is dirty, the carpet cleaner guy didn't show up, our steak delivery's late. And it's like you're doing the same BS over and over again. And yeah, you can put in routines and processes and try to solve these things at the root cause better. But a lot of it is very much wrangling through like hand-to-hand combat. With a tech platform like ours, every single problem you deal with has a systems solution, a technological solution. So you can ask why 5 times and get to the root cause of why something happened. And if you do that, you can then build a solution for it and then not have to deal with it anymore. So that's one of the fun things about it.
Great.
Very cool.
So if I'm a homeowner and I press GreenPal and somebody's supposed to come and they don't, do I go back to the system and that solves my problem?
Yeah, in the old days, it was, hey, where's my guy? Where's my GreenPal? And it's like, we don't know where he is. We'll call him. And he didn't show up. Okay, let me see if we can find you somebody else. And it's like, and then we would very manually do that.
Right.
And like I was just talking about, we have now built the systems to predict if that person is not going to show up by way of crunching the numbers and say, okay, this person's reliability rating is what we call it, is below a threshold of say 70%. There's a 50% chance they're not going to show up. So let's get 2 other vendors on deck in case they don't. We can very easily assign that job to somebody else. And so that's how we handle it now. Is if, okay, hey, Joe's Lawn Service hasn't been there. We have these 2 other options available for you. Would you like either of them, or do you want to wait on Joe? And that's how we handle it now. But in the early days, it was very much phone calls, text messages, emails, voicemails. And I think if you're building something brand new, you kind of need to do that. You kind of need to hand crank it and solve those problems with a spreadsheet and pen and pad. And then you know what the processes are that you have to build around.
Got it.
Very cool.
Interesting.
Where are you? How many employees do you have? What? Yeah.
Right now, our team's about 45 people all over the world, mostly engineers, developers, designers. We're really excited about what AI is doing for our business. And so we're figuring out ways to bake in AI in terms of the processes inside of what we do. And I feel like today is probably the best day that we've had to start a business, to get started, in probably 20 years. There is more opportunity now than I've ever seen in my 25 years of business.
Because of AI?
I believe so. Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, if you really understand how this stuff works and how it can help you deliver better customer outcomes, better customer experiences, you can work circles around your competition. And so that's what's got me excited. We like to think about it in terms of the way GreenPal works. How do we make it as close to magic as possible? So like I was just telling you, like the guy didn't show up. We magically show you 2 other people that can come today. Like, how do we make more magic like that? And AI is helping us do that in terms of preventing problems, solving problems, making more people happier with less resources. We're able to do it.
You still need somebody to go do the lawn.
Still got to have somebody that's hungry to make money cutting grass. And hopefully that never goes away.
Yeah. People are always going to need jobs.
That's right. Yeah.
Bryan, it's been great to speak with you. I appreciate. How do our users find you or find the platform?
Yeah. Go greenpal.com. Quotes are free to sign up. And anybody want to hit me up, just Google my name, Bryan Clayton, and you'll find my LinkedIn or my Instagram.
Awesome.
Great. This was fascinating. Congratulations on your success.
Great. Keep it up.
Thank you.
And if we can ever help you, let us know.
Well, thank you so much, guys, for having me on. I really appreciated it.